For most of history, Nikola Tesla was an unsung hero. Tesla was a visionary, a genius, and a selfless inventor who was primarily focused on harnessing electricity in a way that could power the entire world and serve humankind for eternity. Unfortunately, many of his projects stalled or remained unfinished due to a lack of consistent financial support, propaganda from rivals, prejudice, and some unfortunate life events. In today's video, we'll talk about some of Nikola Tesla's unreleased inventions that were leaked. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more intriguing videos like this, and be sure to watch this video to the end. Therefore, anytime we upload a new video, you will be notified so that you won't miss out on interesting videos from us. Without further ado, let's get started. Signals. There are some claims that he sent a signal several miles away that was strong enough to light up vacuum tubes planted in the ground, but this can be attributed to Colorado Springs' conductive properties. Tesla also attempted to send ultra-low frequency signals through the region between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. Tesla estimated that this region's resonant frequency was around 8 Hz. This theory wasn't seriously considered until the 1950s, when researchers were shocked to learn that this space's resonant frequency was in fact in the 8 Hz range. The ionosphere, an area 80 kilometers above the Earth, was the target of the third method of wireless power transmission. Tesla discovered a repeating signal being picked up by his transmitter one evening while working, and much to his surprise, he thought he was receiving a signal from space. Tesla was widely ridiculed when he made this discovery, but it's possible that he was the first person to observe radio waves from space. Tesla's work in Colorado Springs remains shrouded in mystery. His notes and comments do not reveal how he intended to transmit wireless power, but it is clear that he returned to New York City confident that he could succeed. An antenna to capture the sun's energy. The Wardenclyffe Tower. Tesla wrote a sensational article for Century magazine upon his return to New York from Colorado Springs, in which he described a method for using an antenna to capture the sun's energy. Vision. He proposed that electrical power could be used to influence the weather. He predicted technological breakthroughs that would make war impossible, and he proposed a global wireless communications network. The concepts were nearly incomprehensible to most people, but Tesla was a man who could not be underestimated. Flying machine for society. You should not be surprised if you see me flying from New York to Colorado Springs in a contraption that resembles a gas stove and weighs nearly as much as a comet. Nikola Tesla rode a biplane in 1913, following in the footsteps of Albert Einstein and his ill-fated wing and Thomas Edison and his box kite type. In the years following the Wright brothers' first flight, anyone with a daring idea created a flying machine. But aviation history appears to have forgotten Nikola Tesla's 1921 design for a flying machine with a rotor-tilt hybrid airplane with a wing. Tesla's final patent was granted in January 1928 by the United States Patent and Trademark Office for a novel method of transporting bodies through the air that he described and developed with an open box-type craft, tilting propeller and wing that could theoretically rise vertically and fly horizontally. In 1893, Tesla patented a steam-powered mechanical oscillator that vibrated at high speeds to produce electricity. Tesla discussed his work on developing an autonomous aircraft, which, according to scientists, would travel 8 miles above the Earth's surface and generate speeds that would allow passengers to travel between New York City and London in 3 hours. Tesla's concept called for the aircraft to be powered by electricity wirelessly transmitted from ground-based power plants, obviating the need for aircraft to carry fuel. The power supply is virtually limitless, as any number of power plants can be operated concurrently, supplying energy to airships in the same way that trains running on tracks are now supplied with electrical energy via rails or wires. The death ray. The death ray was one of his most enigmatic, controversial, and sought-after creations. Tesla's creativity never ceased to impress the masses, even as he grew senile. His father instilled in him a strong aversion to war, and he worked tirelessly to find a technological solution to end the war. He believed war could be reduced to a mere spectacle of machines. When asked to describe the nature of the power at a press conference in 1931, Tesla stated that he was about to discover an entirely new energy source. As war loomed over Europe on July 11, 1934, the front page of the New York Times read Tesla at 78 bears new death beam. According to the report, the new technology will send concentrated beams of particles through free air with such tremendous energy that they will bring down a fleet of 10,000 enemy planes at a distance of 250 miles. According to Tesla, the death beam would prevent war by providing each nation with an invisible weapon. The concept sparked a great deal of debate and interest when Tesla realized he needed money to create a prototype with his planned invention, for which he went to J.P. Morgan. Tesla also attempted to communicate directly with British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, but interest in Tesla's anti-war weapon waned when Chamberlain resigned after realizing that Hitler had outwitted him in Munich by 1937. Frustrated with his efforts to generate interest and funding for his peace beam, Tesla sent a detailed technical letter complete with diagrams to several allied nations, including the United States, England, and Canada. The Soviet Union and France. Yugoslavia's new art of projecting concentrated non-dispersive energy through natural media provided charged particle beam weapons, which was the first technical description they provided. Tesla's proposal stood out from the crowd because of its unique vacuum chamber with one end open to the atmosphere. Tesla hoped that his invention would be solely defensive and used as an anti-war tool. The beam's effectiveness was limited to about 200 miles, the distance of the Earth's curvature, because it was projected in a straight line. Tesla also considered using his particle beam for peaceful purposes, such as long-distance power transmission without wires. He also advanced the radical idea of creating an artificial aurora borealis by heating a portion of the upper atmosphere. Whether Tesla's concept was ever seriously considered is still debatable. Most experts today believe his theory is unsustainable. But his death beam is eerily similar to the charged particle beam weapon used by the United States and the S wireless power. Finally, one of the more contentious issues surrounding Nikola Tesla is what became of many of his technical and scientific papers following his death in 1943. He claimed to have perfected his so-called death beam just before his death. At the height of World War II, it was natural for the FBI and other United States government agencies to be interested in any scientific ideas involving weaponry. There was some concern that Tesla's papers would fall into the hands of the Axis or the Soviets. After the inventor's death, his nephew, Seva Kosanovich, rushed to the New Yorker hotel and entered his uncle's room. Kaganovich was a rising official in Yugoslavia who was thought to have connections to the Communist Party. There, when he arrived, Tesla's body had already been removed. He suspected someone had already gone through his uncle's belongings and technical papers. After a 3-day investigation, Dr. John G. Trump, an electrical engineer with the National Defense Research Committee's Office of Scientific Research and Development, concluded Tesla's thoughts and efforts over the past 15 years were primarily speculative, philosophical, and somewhat promotional, often concerned with the production and wireless transmission of power, but did not include new workable principles or methods for realizing such power. Following World War II, there was a resurgence of interest in beam weapons, as evidenced by copies of Tesla's papers on particle beams. Weaponry was delivered to Patton Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, to test the viability of Tesla's concepts. The operation, dubbed Project Nick, was heavily funded and placed under the command of Brigadier General L.C. Crady. The details of the experiments were never made public, and the project was seemingly abandoned. But then something strange happened. Copies of Tesla's papers vanished, and no one knows what happened to them. The last of Tesla's belongings, including his papers, were returned to Kosanovich in 1952 and brought to Belgrade, Yugoslavia, where a museum was erected in his honor. Concerns were raised when Soviet Premier Khrushchev announced to the Supreme Soviet in 1960 that a new and fantastic weapon was in progress. Work on beam weapons continued in the United States. In 1958, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency launched a top-secret project called Seesaw at Lawrence Livermore Laboratory to develop a charged particle beam weapon. After more than 10 years and $27 million, the project was abandoned because no one knew about Tesla's papers among the scientists working on it. In the late 1970s, it was rumored that the Soviet Union had made a significant technological advance. Some U.S. defense analysts believe a large beam weapon facility was built in southern Russia near the Sino River. President Ronald Reagan announced the Strategic Defense Initiative in 1983, urging scientists to work on making nuclear weapons ineffective to ensure world peace. The program is widely regarded as a failure. Despite 50 years of research and billions of dollars in investment, there is still no practical means of defense against a nuclear missile attack. It's possible that if Nikola Tesla had any knowledge of how to project lethal energy beams through the atmosphere, he would have done so. Under the Freedom of Information Act, the FBI eventually declassified approximately 250 pages of Tesla-related documents in 2016. After that, the Bureau issued 2 more reports, the most recent of which was published in March 2018. Despite the publication of these documents, many questions remain unanswered. Some of Tesla's files remain unaccounted for. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like it and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on another wonderful video from us. Till next time.